Hi everyone, Daniel Linder here. I'm the creator of the relationship model of addiction, and I am here to be a guiding light and inspiration for you on your path of recovery as you transition out of unhealthy addictive relationships and into relationships that nourish self-growth and intimacy and emotionally nourishing relationships. I was excited last time I talked to you because of these insights that I recently had in a couple of groups that I was running, 2 different groups. And last week we talked about the connection between powerlessness and worthlessness. This is about the first step, the first stage of recovery. And if you're going to have a problem admitting that you have a problem or you're out of control with your addiction. You're going to have a problem admitting that this relationship is bad and you need to get out of it if your identity, well-being, sense of self-worth is externally based, like on an illusion of willpower, that you could only be an okay person if you could accomplish anything you want by willpower. That's a house of cards. If your identity is built on a house of cards, then you're going to have difficulty getting through this first step. And in order to do that, you're going to need to shift to finding an internal source of well-being and self-worth. And if you don't have it at the moment, which probably you won't, you're going to be relying on some higher power or blind faith that you're going to be okay if you proceed to break up with this relationship. Now, so this had to do with the first stage of recovery, the breakup. Now I want to talk to you about this other insight and clarification that occurred for me that I'm so excited to share with you about, because how powerful it is. This relates to the second stage of recovery, developing a relationship with yourself. Now, if you recall, I've been spending the last several weeks on this second stage of recovery, and I'm trying to define what this is about, this second stage: self-work, self-care, developing a relationship with yourself, being your own best friend. And what I was saying about having a relationship with yourself is that you begin having a relationship with yourself when you become aware of what you're thinking, feeling, wanting, and needing at any given point in time when you're relating to someone, and you express that. You know intuitively and instinctually that in order for you to take care of yourself and connect and go act in a way that's creating an intimate relationship, you're going to have to express what's going on with you, what your truth is, what you're aware of. So developing a relationship with yourself is contingent on and begins with self-awareness. However, what I realized, which I kind of knew this all the time, but it really became clear this week, that developing a relationship with yourself is a process that requires practice and occurs over a period of time. You're not going to get off this video call after talking about developing a relationship with yourself and having developed one. It just doesn't happen that way. So let me give you an example of what happened, what I'm talking about, and this is where I got this insight from. I've been working with this woman, Terry, call her Terry, for a year about this very issue. She's in a very unhealthy, unsatisfying, non-intimate, long-standing relationship with an alcoholic and someone who's not really on a path of personal growth and who's deteriorating a little bit more every day. They have a terrible relationship. There's no connection there. He's not present. He's not there for her. He's just into needing attention from her, maybe sex every now and then when he has that desire, but he is not really able to connect with her. And her whole relationship for, let's say, 25 years has been based on kind of codependent, considering him before herself, taking care of him, and in the process, losing herself in the relationship. So she was realizing this, and during the work for the past year, becoming more mindful, more self-aware, and that she is much more aware of what she's thinking, feeling, and wanting. However, when it comes to relating to him, she's seeing that she's still in this dynamic where she defers to him and is unable or hasn't been ready yet or able to express to him what's going on for her and what she needs and what she's aware of, and to really show up and be present in the relationship. So she shares this experience with me recently where her husband, call him Bob. Bob is really, really frustrated in the relationship because she's kind of off doing her own thing and taking care of herself and trying to find joy and activities that make her feel good in her life that are outside of the relationship. So Bob came at her really hard one day and saying, I feel like I'm the lowest person on your priority list. I'm not even on your priority list. And he was really carrying on in her face, really angry and almost irate. And so this conversation put her into a position of the truth, the moment of truth. Is it going to be me or is it going to be him? Am I going to be honest or am I going to take care of him? And what happened, what she shared with us in the group and with me individually, was that she kind of got lost in the moment. And even though it was an opportunity for her to come out and really talk about where she is in the relationship, she deferred to him, trying to convince him, no, he is more on her priority list. She does care about him more. She was making excuses, trying to convince him that it's not the way he thinks it is or the way he feels, and just trying to make him feel better and assure him. But it was at the expense of her truth. She was focusing on him, not herself. So I have to say I was taken aback by this after for a moment there, and kind of struck, like, what do I do now after we were talking about this? She has the awareness, we've been talking about it, she's been getting the support to really come out and show up and be present and say what she's aware of and express her feelings, but she hasn't. So what's going on here? So I realized the big insight and the clarification was developing a relationship with yourself occurs in stages. It just doesn't happen just like that all at once. And the stage that Terry was in, I said her name was Terry, right? Terry was in, and so of course it's not the real name. So the stage that Terry was in was that I was likening it to a child, an infant who's beginning to walk. And usually children can't walk until they're 1 year old, let's say. Around 1 they start walking. And the reason for this is that before they can walk, they need to have the strength in their legs, the muscles and the strength to carry their weight and to be able to move their body. And until they develop that strength in their muscles, they're not going to be able to walk. Developing a relationship with yourself is a similar kind of thing. And what Teresa was explaining was that in this interim, in this year that she was working on finding herself, taking care of herself, being recovering, a codependent, what she was doing was nourishing herself and creating and developing a life for herself outside of this relationship, doing more activities with other people, more creative endeavors that make her feel good and that promote and nourish her self-growth. But she's still in the process of doing that, and until she is secure enough and solid enough in herself, she's not going to be able to show up with her husband, with whom for 25 or 30 years she's just been in deference to him, and her well-being was dependent on how he responds to her or how she thinks he feels towards her. It was all about taking care of him. So I really had a lot more understanding and compassion for her, given the stage of self-development that she's at right now, where before you really take the show on the road and bring yourself fully into your relationships, you need to be practicing separating yourself out, finding yourself, figuring out what to do with yourself, and pursuing activities and relationships that make you feel good and where you can grow in and that you receive nourishment in. And you need to be doing that, practicing doing that consciously, daily if possible, and over a period of time you're going to grow enough into yourself where you could show up in your relationships and establish your grounding, say what you're aware of and say what's going on with you and be more present. So that was a very, very powerful thing. So the idea here is to understand self-awareness is the beginning and of developing a relationship with yourself, and to be practicing doing things that promote your well-being and nourish you on your own, and then grow on that from doing those things. So, okay, so I'm going to wind this down right now. This was the big lesson for today. The stages of developing your relationship with yourself. So, again, please leave a comment if this resonated with you, if you found this valuable. It's really great to put this out so other people can see it and hear it and benefit from it. And I'll know that I'm being received, that you're getting, I would just want you to get where I'm coming from and tell me that you did. So until then, the quality of your relationships is the quality of your life.